What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Call of Duty World War II on BlackTideTV. Today we have some very exciting and possibly very disappointing news of an upcoming patch to Call of Duty World War II. However, something unprecedented is happening, and Sledgehammer is actually talking to the community. Sledgehammer has always been one of the better developers for communicating their actions and what's happening in all the patches. But this time they're actually giving us a heads up and they're requesting our advice. They have 4 iconic weapons from the multiplayer of Call of Duty World War II that they are looking into either buffing or nerfing in the upcoming patch. And before they've gone through with it, they've kind of went on Reddit and they left us a little bit about each of these weapons and what they're thinking of doing, but they want to hear from the community. So this is huge, and these are 4 very, very popular weapons. So it's just a no-brainer. I have to make a video on this, and I'd love for you guys to let me know what you think of these weapons and if they should be buffed or nerfed or what you think should happen in the comment section down below. But more than anything, it would be amazing if you guys could tweet this video at Sledgehammer Games, at Michael Condry, at Glenn Schofield. Yeah, if you could do the whole Reddit thing and post it to the subreddit for a response. I'm not a big Reddit person, clearly. I kind of go on and read articles, but I don't get too into it. And I'm not really sure the rules for posting or whatever. So if you guys are big into Reddit and you want to help me out and help out the community, the Call of Duty community as a whole, I'm going to be going through each of these weapons, each of their little statements, and I'll be providing some of my own feedback, having played Call of Duty for years and years and years and years and years, and having such a strong opinion on each of these weapons. So we're going to get started on the number 1, the Kar98K. It's currently set up to be the second most damaging sniper to the Springfield by a small margin, but also the quickest scoping time weapon in the class. We're considering an ADS in time nerf. Now this is the biggest one for me of these 4 weapons that they're looking at, because I am a huge fan of the sniping in Call of Duty World War II. There has already been a nerf, a small nerf to the sniping in Call of Duty World War II to affect the aim assist and when that aim assist kicks in. So there is very little aim assist on most snipers in Call of Duty World War II. The Springfield I don't believe has any aim assist, and neither does the Kar98K unless you were using the Mountain Division and holding your breath with Sharpshooter. You do not get any aim assist until you are completely holding your breath aiming down sights. So there's already that little negative to deal with, that there is no aim assist. There hasn't been aim assist in snipers since Black Ops 3 if I'm remembering correctly. So sniping has already been dialed up a little bit in this game. It's already been a little harder than it ever has been, but I feel like the snipers are so perfectly placed in this game, with the exception of the Carabin. The Carabin is kind of weak, but that is the semi-auto and that is to be expected. The Lee Enfield, the Springfield, and the Kar98K, they are all just nicely balanced. The Springfield is a one-shot kill to almost any part on the body, but it's a little bit slower. The Kar98K is the fastest to aim down sights. However, in my opinion, only the most skilled sniper rifle users are going to have any kind of added effect from this. I feel like most snipers, even myself included, I'm sniping like crazy. I'm trying my hardest. The gameplay is a great example. I started strong, but then I fell off, but I am a pretty good sniper, and even I don't get the full use out of that snap aim. Because there is no aim assist, because you kind of have to hold your breath at longer ranges, you just want to hold your breath for like a millisecond. Well, they're looking at nerfing the aim in time, so how fast you can aim down the sights with the Kar98K. But most people are aiming down sights and then holding their breath for a moment before shooting, or they're aiming down sights and then they're not just aiming and black scoping all the time. That is a very, very advanced technique when it comes to sniping, which I find to be very difficult, and only the best of the best are going to have any benefit from that. So I really don't feel like the Kar98K needs to be nerfed. I do agree that it is the best sniper rifle in the game, but compared to how fast you can just be dominated by some other people, you'll see in the gameplay, the second that I'm not paying attention, the second that I have my back turned or that I can't get my shot on right away, I'm dead instantly. There are weapons in this game that'll drop you in 3 shots. People can just set up their LMG and spray you around a corner. They can get you with the bar. They can get you with a lot of SMGs. The shotguns. The combat shotgun is now very, very strong. A lot of weapons will end your life incredibly quickly, And I think that that is a fair comparison to how fast you can aim down your sights with this weapon, because for the average player, aiming down sights with this sniper rifle a little bit faster, it's not going to make the biggest difference in the world. I do feel like this weapon might need some kind of adjustment, or better yet, maybe adjust some of the other snipers to improve them. The Lee Enfield is underused in my opinion, and I feel like if the Lee Enfield could aim in sights faster, a lot of people would actually prefer that one as well, because it has the lower damage. That is kind of the middle tier between like the Car and the Springfield, should be the Lee Enfield, but the Lee Enfield is kind of just, it's kind of just doing its own thing off in the corner. No one really uses it. So the Car is of course the most popular sniper rifle, and that's why they're looking into it. But I feel like the balance between the Car and the Springfield and the other weapons in the game, I think it's fine, and I don't believe that the Kar 98K needs any kind of adjustment. But that is me, and that is my experience with sniping and using all of the other regular weapons in this game. I'm not exclusively a sniper. I snipe and I use the other weapons, and I feel like the Kar 98K is on par with other assault rifles and SMGs in the game. Next up is the FG42, which they just nerfed. They said, did we go too far with the last fire rate nerf? Maybe. It's a great weapon that we want to have as a viable option with other ARs and SMGs. Might need to find a median between where it was and where it is now. Now, I feel like the FG42 did not need that nerf. It was recently nerfed with fire rate and accuracy. So the accuracy was actually changed. Before it kind of bobbed left and right. Now it's completely vertical recoil. So it is very easy to control, but it fires so slowly that you're pretty much losing every gunfight. Regardless of if you're shooting at long ranges or close ranges, it's just not competitive enough. Especially if you get hit when you're firing, you're probably not going to win a gunfight because you have to land all 3 of your shots and the weapon kicks, and it's just very slow to fire. It's more of an LMG than it is an assault rifle. But I would say that the FG42 could use a buff. They went too far with the nerf. I do agree with them there. I think it was perfectly fine before. I think the FG42 is a victim of unfortunate circumstances. The pros wanted to have the FG42 kicked out so that they could use the PPSH more, so that they could use other weapons more. Happened with the bar at the beginning of the game. The bar, I feel, was perfectly fine, except maybe they could have just slightly adjusted something, like maybe slightly adjust the 3-shot kill range, but instead they played with the accuracy, and they played with the aim down sight time. I can't remember what they did, but they did a bunch of stuff to the bar that just kind of made the weapon kind of eh. And I feel like the FG42, that's when the FG42 got really good. They played with the bar. The FG42 all of a sudden became the rising star of this game, and suddenly they're like, oh man, the FG42 is actually freaking boss now. We have to really adjust this thing. And they went too far. They dialed it back too much. So the FG42 was perfectly fine before. And honestly, if they found a median between the two, I still think the FG42 would be underpowered. I think the FG42 should be exactly back where it was before the most recent nerf. The M1 Garand, some sentiment of it being OP is mostly coming because of the kill potential at closer ranges. The difficulty of the weapon lies in its recoil when shot rapidly downrange, but you don't really feel the recoil when firing at close range due to recoil affecting range fights and more consistent aim assist at closer ranges, made you to adjust the fire rate, pull-up time, and or reload time. The M1 Garand, apparently this is a thing now because now that the bar has been nerfed, the FG42 has been nerfed, the pros, again, I believe, are complaining about the M1 Garand because it is now such a viable weapon. It's pretty well the last assault rifle that you can really turn to if you don't want to use the PPSH. So the M1 Garand is now a very powerful, very good option, especially for pros, because the pros can handle that recoil and they can use the weapon at longer ranges. It is a very skillful weapon, much like the sniper rifle, where you need to build up skill with the weapon, and once you are proficient with that weapon, you can absolutely dominate people. The M1 Garand is one of my favorite weapons in the game, and I've always found it to be very powerful, and I would agree with maybe a fire rate nerf, like introduce that fire cap a little bit sooner so that players are required to use the rapid fire attachment, because at closer ranges, you can spam that thing very, very hard and you can drop people in 2 shots. And still, at longer ranges, it's still a 2-shot kill. It's a very powerful weapon. I have not done my review on that weapon yet, but let me tell you, it is extremely proficient at all ranges, And I would agree that at close ranges, that thing can drop people, it can dump truck people. And yeah, you might want to adjust the fire rate, just so at closer ranges you can't absolutely spam it and drop people. But apart from that, I don't think it needs any more recoil. At longer ranges, the recoil is so crazy you can barely use the thing, and the reload time is perfectly fine as well. There's nothing wrong with the reload time, and being the weapon that it is, I feel like the reload time is just where it needs to be because it has such a small magazine to begin with. The last weapon is the SG44, and Michael Condry writes, I love this weapon and it's such an iconic World War II assault rifle. It's pretty versatile too, but it may need a slight buff to make it competitive with the Bar, Garand, and FG42 if we buff as noted above, and viable against some of the most used SMGs. I feel like this weapon is underpowered when in certain game modes. The STG-44 is absolutely one of the best weapons in the game in hardcore modes, and therefore I don't think we need to touch it necessarily, but if we were to touch the STG-44, I would make it slightly more accurate. It is already a very, very accurate weapon. It is extremely accurate actually, but it's kind of still bobs and weaves, and there's still some little misleading moments when you're firing that weapon where it'll suddenly kick and then you'll completely lose your target in the iron sights. So if it was a little bit more accurate, it does do a little less damage, but you could absolutely laze people at longer ranges. It would give the weapon a competitive edge over weapons that can kill you in 3 shots like the Bar and FG42, and at closer ranges it would be very powerful in the hands of an experienced user. We might even want to tighten the hipfire spread at closer ranges. But those are my thoughts on these 4 weapons. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Kind of a quick video today, just jumping through all of these things because it's such a big topic. Hit the like button if you enjoyed today's video, subscribe if you're new to BlackTideTV, and remember to tweet this video at Sledgehammer Games and anyone who cares to try and get it in front of them so that they kind of get our ideas as well. So that is it, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.